Hi guys, it's Krabby Chaos Coordinator here. I'm joining you tonight from my office. I'm getting ready to do my meal planning and I thought I'd take you along with me and show you what my process looks like and how I think through and get my meal plans in order for the week. It's actually well into the evening and the rest of my family is asleep, but I work nights, so I'm typically awake late. So this is when I have my productive time. So this is me taking advantage of the time that I have. I figured I'd take you along with me and show you how my meal planning sessions look. So come along and let's get started. Okay, so I have my trusty notebook here. I don't use anything fancy. I typically will do this either just written out on a piece of paper, or I'll sometimes just do it directly in the calendar, especially if I'm on the go. But tonight we're just using the good old notebook here, and then I'll transfer it over to our Google Calendar that I share with my teenage daughters. They're the ones that often will help me finish dinner. I'll sometimes start it, they'll finish it. Since I work nights, it's definitely been helpful to have taught them some basic cooking skills, not only for their own purposes as they leave the house, but certainly for helping with meals during the week when I'm just not home. So one of the first things I checked was the weather forecast this week. Since we are changing into fall, I thought I'd see if there were a couple of cooler days. It's definitely cooler than it has been, but tomorrow is still supposed to be in the 70s. So I thought for Monday night's dinner, go ahead and write this out. I was at Costco today and I had picked up some of the canned chicken. We already keep some on stock, but I restocked. And I also saw their croissants, which it's always a family favorite to make chicken salad. And then we serve it on croissants. And that makes for a super easy dinner on the weeknights. I can make that before I go to work, and then I'll take a portion for myself, and then the kids can finish up the sandwiches with the croissants in the evening when their dad comes home for dinner. And let's see, on Tuesday night, it's supposed to be kind of a rainy night. And it's also a good night to do a slow cooker dinner that I can set up for them, especially since we're gonna try something new. We have a lot of pork chops, which isn't something that we normally have a lot of. So I thought for Tuesday, I would find a new pork chop recipe, which I will go through here in just a second once I get the rest of my meals laid out. I did find one that I wanted to try with the kids. And I'll usually abbreviate SC is for slow cooker and IP is for Instant Pot, just so that the kids and I know what's going on and what we're planning. For Wednesday night, it's kind of a busy night. I go to work like usual, but the kids and my husband go to church on Wednesday nights. So they don't have a whole lot of time from when my husband gets home to when they have to leave for the activity. So I typically will either plan a slow cooker dinner, or like this week, a lot of times we're doing a clean out the fridge night, meaning leftovers and maybe turn it into something else. So if we had some eggs and meat left over, they could make a burrito or a quesadilla, or they could make a sandwich if we had leftover meat from earlier in the week, something like that. But just to use up all the leftovers is the idea. And let's see here. And then for Thursday, I'm doing one of my daughter's favorite meals. She'd eat these every day if I let her, to be honest. We're gonna do some quesadillas. And I'll certainly have her make some of my homemade refried beans, and I'll include a link to that as well. And on Friday, I'm home to make dinner. So I typically try to make something a little bit nicer. And I'm gonna do one of my favorites because it's gonna be a little cooler. And that's gonna be beef tips and gravy. I found a really great recipe for this in my Instant Pot. It makes the meat so tender. Oops. And again, IP for Instant Pot. And I'm also gonna include a vegetable with veggies and mashed potatoes. And on the weekend, so we have a big project planned for my husband and my daughters and some friends. So I want to make sure I have a nice hearty dinner that's a family favorite. And that's going to be breakfast burritos. So for us, sometimes it's sausage, sometimes it's bacon. I usually do bacon because it's easy for me to do in the oven without making a huge mess. And then I just put the breakfast burritos together, and I usually finish heating them up in the oven, or I grill them. If I'm doing a big batch, the oven works great because they can all just be put on a sheet pan and sprayed with some cooking spray. And then I can have them ready when anybody wants to eat them, so they can eat as they get finished with the project, or I can always take them out to them if they're not done yet. And for Sunday, we're also going to make a little nicer dinner, and that's going to be chicken spaghetti. I just used a slightly modified version of the classic Pioneer Woman recipe, just because we don't particularly care for pimentos, so I leave those out and I add some extra green peppers. But we make it our own, and we certainly enjoy that with some kind of a vegetable or salad. And one thing I do want to note also with regards to the chicken spaghetti, we actually will be cooking on Tuesday. I have it on the schedule for us to cook 2 whole chickens, rotisserie style, in our slow cookers. That way they'll shred the chicken at the end of the night and put it into the freezer in 2 different bags. So I'll have chicken that's shredded up and ready to go for meals ahead. So that's certainly something that we like to do. Now, I mentioned earlier I wanted to try something new. It's definitely one of the meal planning strategies that I shared last time in one of my last videos. And I grabbed one of our cookbooks that we have on the shelf. It's one of the things I like to do. And I wanted it to be something in the slow cooker. So I picked out this one. This is just Fix It and Forget It. It's one we've had for a long time. Pretty sure it was my husband's mom's cookbook originally. And I just looked for pork chop recipes, and there's tons in here. And I wanted it to be something fairly simple so that I didn't have to go to the store for a bunch of ingredients. So I found this one here that's for pork chops and mushrooms. I don't think I have any mushrooms on hand. However, I do have everything else, so I can probably add something different in its place. I'll probably add some actual sliced onions in here, but this is stuff I keep on hand for the most part. I have the onions, I have onion soup mix, and I always keep golden cream mushroom soup, which is a great way to use some more of that, since I typically only use that for my Italian chicken recipe. It's really rich in flavor and super delicious, so I'm sure it'll be really good with the pork chops. And they can make a choice. They can either serve it with some mashed potatoes, some rice, or they could even serve it with egg noodles. But I bet they go with mashed potatoes if I know my family. So we'll see. But I will leave that up to them since they'll be the ones home. But I can get this one started for them. And this way it'll be done in time for dinner for them. And I still get to feel like I made them a nice home-cooked dinner, even though I'm not here. Here's the meal plan for the week. I tried to keep it pretty simple like we usually do. I hope that I gave some insight into what my processes are. I did share a more in-depth meal planning strategy video, but I thought it might be helpful to see what I actually do when I'm working through that process myself on a weekly basis. I'm hoping to kind of make this a series where I share my weekly meal plans just to give you guys some meal ideas. And you'll kind of see some things are on repeat. We kind of repeat things sometimes, like quesadillas make an appearance. We usually have, chicken salad isn't exactly uncommon, but we have some things that we rotate, but we rotate through them at a pace to where we're not having them all the time so we don't get sick of them. So I'd be happy to share some of these recipes and some of these ideas. If you'd like, just let me know in the comments below. But I appreciate you watching. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys again in the next video. Thanks so much.